My name is Jonathan Gill. This is our fifth monthly demo series, and I'll be your host for today. Alongside me is Kay. Kay will be your expert, right, on all things Aisera. And then Joanna, she's going to be helping us around, platform capabilities, engagement, and support. So please come with questions. We like to open up this for, conversation throughout the presentation, but Kay is going to really give you the peek under the hood. She's going to showcase how easy it is to really get started, including setup and adoption, a unified knowledge and integration piece, and enterprise grade trust and transparency. Now, we're going to monitor and facilitate everything all through the chat. Let us know, right? Ping us. Joanna will cut off and support us, and we'll kind of maybe navigate the waters as we see fit. But let's get started. Okay, over to you.
All right, thanks for the intro, Jonathan. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get us kicked off here. If anyone who is not familiar with Aisera, we are truly a global company. We've partnered with organizations around the world. Our platform serves leading enterprises such as Aramark, Workday, and Adobe. We're backed by top-tier investors, including Goldman Sachs and Menlo. And we even have customers that were so impressed with us that they became investors too, such as Cisco and Workday. That really underscores the trust and confidence that the market has in our solution. You can see the recognitions and awards, and you can come to our website and see all this stuff as well. But for those of you, again, hopefully have heard of us, this is just an introduction to who we are as an organization globally. Now, what we're going to showcase today, and what I'm really excited about, is ease of use, right? So specifically, how quickly your teams can adopt and realize value from Agentic AI with Aisera. And I'll show you some of the tools we have available to make that happen, to make this a seamless and quick adoption for your teams. And then we'll explore how Aisera meets your teams where they are, eliminating the need to reformat your data or your documentation. Aisera is going to handle the heavy lifting when it comes to working with your data, keep it in its current state, right? And we'll bring that data into our platform. And I'll show you and showcase, how that can happen quickly, and also allows you to get started with an AI journey without having to do too much work on your end, right? In terms of getting things organized, because a lot of people are waiting because they think they're not ready, right? But we're here to show you that we can help you with that process. And then finally, due to the challenges that a lot of organizations have adopting and building their own AI strategy, I really want to hit on AI. Aisera's security framework. This ensures you have a trusted partner. Where we empower you with Agentic AI while maintaining the highest standards of security and compliance. I came from a cybersecurity company before Aisera, so this is near and dear to my heart. And I know there's a lot of fear and risk. People, we're trying to lower that risk of adoption and within your organization, really, showcasing, how we can provide that enterprise grade security to your organization. And I'll walk through a couple of examples conversationally and using some of our agents, how this is enforced. All right, so keep the questions coming, and we'll take a pause after we go through each section to address questions. But anything, again, I have a lot of experience and use cases, so we can try and talk through any questions you might have live. We should have plenty of time. It's not a lot of content to cover, but we did want to make this unique. Again, you can always watch other webinars or come back to us for a more detailed demo, but we're going to highlight these three main things. Jonathan, Joanna, anything to add before I jump in?
Nope, that sounds like a good plan.
Okay, great. All right, so seamless setup and adoption. So let's jump in here. So Aisera is going to work alongside with you and map out an implementation plan. We're not just, okay, go buy us on the marketplace and you're not going to hear from us. We're partnering with you to identify key success criteria and factors of things so we can measure how well we're doing within your organization. Because ROI and the ROI on Agentic AI is really up to people are really pushing hard on determining and showcasing that. So with Aisera, like, we're going to work with you in this implementation plan to make sure we can prove out and showcase throughout your journey, how the agents are working for you and how you're seeing that ROI. And that all starts with a strong implementation plan. And that's where our team is going to partner with you every step of the way. But when I talk about these stages and these steps, and again, there are stages and steps. We're not talking, months and months. We're not talking 6 months, you'll have an agentic AI strategy. We're talking at the most 2 months, 1 to 2 months from day 0 to go live based on your use cases. We want to get you up and running fast because, again, if you're not doing it, your competitors are. And so you really need to get, again, or your leadership team is asking, what are we doing with agentic AI today? And so, we want to get you up and running so you can see that value quickly. And so I'm going to dive into some of the tools now behind the scenes on how we can make that happen. But again, the goal of this entire deployment process is to teach your teams how to fish, right? We're going to deploy a few use cases as a part of this implementation process, but you should be able to grow on your journey and you should be able to implement these on your own. You don't want to have to keep knocking on Aisera's door every time you have a new integration or a new use case. We want to show you that platform can work with you and give you that framework to build those out and to continue forward and do more and more with automation in your organization and just see even more value and even more ROI. So let's jump in and I will showcase some of that in Aisera. All right, so starting off, I'm in Aisera's Service Manager. So this is, again, not a black box. You're getting access to every request that's coming in the door, everything that's happening with your agents. All those metrics are being captured, and this is available to you as a practitioner of Aisera. And so when I talk about ease of use and very quickly getting adoption and set up, what we're leveraging are out-of-the-box workflows that we've built based on our domain-specific LLMs that really get you going, right? It's got all the steps that need to happen in a workflow, and then we're leveraging these and leveraging this workflow. So I'm in Aisera's workflow studio, and the workflows, think of those as a request comes in. The workflows are how those requests behind the scenes are handled. So someone asks for something, and this is how we're going to accomplish that. And so think of some of the workflows: password resets, adding users to groups. Common requests that requires zero manual setup because we already have them here for you. And again, in our workflow studio, and I'll take you behind the scenes to one of these, when you're setting these up, we already have them mapped out, but maybe there's a customization. Maybe you want to say something differently to your users every time, or you want the agent to handle that. That's all part of the process when you're setting these up. And when you're building them, we have all of the actions available to you out of the box to work with, all these integrations. So you're not having to go in and set up new API integrations. They're all here ready to go. And then there's the actions for each integration that you can apply as you're building out your workflows. And then, when you're building your workflows, one of the things I love to showcase is we have a whole testing studio available to you right here. So you can quickly see, right, what is the experience for the end user going to be based on my workflows. So here, this is, very common. I was actually working with a university and they said, you don't know how many times the professors call me because their Adobe license has expired. So and it's middle of the night and they're all mad because no one's on the support desk and they can't get their PDFs, signed or whatever they need to do. And the professor team is pushing back heavily on the support test to automate this workflow. This is something we have out of the box. And then here's where you can come in and test that very quickly and see how your professors would have that information 24/7 available to them via this web chat experience. And then one other thing to mention, because I've been focusing very heavily on the workflow studio and these out-of-the-box workflows, is Aisera's concept of Hyperflows. And now what a hyperflow is instead of that drag and drop view that you were seeing with, this is how I want you to step through the fulfillment or answering that question. These workflows are driven via prompt. So these are even easier to set up. All you're doing with natural language is telling your agent, this is what I want you to do and how I want you to respond. You're giving them a few functions. These functions below are, the API calls or the integrations, right? That the agent has access to, because you want to give them guardrails. And then you give them a few use cases. And then this agent can respond to a myriad of requests. It doesn't have to be specifically, there's no specific phrase they have to use. It will natural language understand those and then perform the actions for you. So this is a less regulatory compliance approach, but it's also much faster time to value when you're trying to accomplish certain tasks and build these quickly, right? So two approaches to workflows, and both very quick to get you up and running. And that's how our teams deploy. And then finally, I'm not done yet, to make this even easier, we're now deploying Aisera's AI agent library. So you can pick from a library of use cases. These are pre-built, domain-trained AI agents for all of your uses, point, click, and deploy, and deliver measurable business outcomes effortlessly. So this is coming. This isn't here yet, but our agents library is really going to up the game when it comes to shortening that deployment lifecycle.
Okay, one question from the audience is, can you spend some time to discuss use cases for ITSM specifically? Maybe we can show them here. Yes, there you go.
Yeah. So, so IT specifically, password resets, application provisioning, what we do, and I'm going to showcase this in the next one too, is we look at your top drivers from an ITSM perspective. So we can look at all those tickets and see, okay, these are the 10 most commonly requests that are happening across an organization. And we want to be able to remedy those, and we'll tell you which ones. I'm going to save that bit till I show it in a bit. But application access, that's a big one. I need access to Salesforce, or I need access to this tool, or even endpoint management. I want to be able to install on your software OpenVPN. And so we can reach out to an endpoint management tool agentically, and the agents can actually do those diagnostics or installations on endpoints, leveraging Intune or other integrations that you have. So it's really across the board things that you want to automate internally with your tickets that are coming in the door to you from an IT request perspective. Joanna, Jonathan, anything I didn't hit on ITSM use cases you want to add?
I think you did a good job. So another question from the same audience member is, could you share some of the most common challenges you encounter when it comes to adoption of AI solutions? I know it's kind of off topic, but maybe we can just answer that question, then we can move on to your next demo.
Yeah, I mean, I think adoption. I mean, one thing that we get, customers, some of the time that I see our deployment teams having is, waiting on credentials to certain systems and things like that to get integration set up. So that can be, from a technical deployment standpoint. I know I do a lot of POVs where I'm trying to set up use cases for customers, and inevitably we're waiting on someone from another team to provide us access to that tool to get it going. So that sometimes is out of our hands because there's different teams and tools. But one of the and this is actually a great tee up to the next.
Yeah, I love to jump in here too. I think maybe it's not ours specifically, but when we come in, right, as an AI expert, some enterprises have already tried to deploy a, a single AI interface or agent for a tiny business unit or something across, something, like supply chain or legal, but it wasn't incorporated into the business outcomes that the organization was truly looking for. So the adoption was only in a minute part of the business or business unit. Likely, as a centralized AI or as an orchestration layer, we are not only able to encompass some of those other groups, but our universal bot or agent are able to realistically put a single user face in front of all people allowing them to adopt more use cases. So adoption is realistically on the scope and the breadth of what you guys are able to deploy.
Thank you, John. I think that was really helpful. And you know, a lot of organizations, and this ties in really well to the second bullet, which is, oh, sorry, I wasn't on full screen. You know, unifying the knowledge and integrations to get your agentic AI to work for you. And so a lot of organizations are waiting because they're trying to get everything organized, get all of the data formatted, you know, get all my ducks in a row before I can deploy Aisera or any agentic AI organization. Well, what Aisera is going to do is sit on top of your digital landscape. We're not ripping and replacing your existing knowledge bases, ticketing systems, anything. We're completely agnostic to those tools. So, you know, that's, you know, one of the powers of Aisera is that we're not forcing you down a ServiceNow or a Salesforce path. You know, use what you have, and we're going to leverage those other tools because of the extensive integration capabilities that we have. We take in, so if you see this, you know, this visualization here is showing, you know, again, we're a platform, we're not a point solution. There's a lot of like what Jonathan was talking to, a lot of organizations implemented some point solution, some very simple web chat that was supposed to be, you know, agentic, but it wasn't actually able to reach out and do the things that the users need. And if it couldn't do those, then your users got frustrated. And then they said, oh, this thing is just pointing me to a document. Oh, it's just pointing me, like, I can do that. I can find the documents. So that's where we're bringing the next step, which is that agentic AI with integrations across your organization and your landscape. So being able to actually accomplish those use cases, not just provide links to documents and be unuseful for your teams and your customers. So looking here, you know, over on the left-hand side, right, your users are making requests, and we're also not making you come out of your natural habitats that you're in today. If you're using Slack, if you're using Teams, if you want to do SMS, text messages, right? Like that professor use case, like he was a lot of times they get or organizations, employees get locked out, they can't get in. So they need a way to contact someone with SMS, right? So that's another avenue, another channel. Like we can set up these agents so you can work with them in any channel, wherever your users are, whether that's voice or email, to automate these requests that are coming in the door. And over on the right is your source of record, right? So this is going to be your ticketing systems that we can ingest the tickets and then learn from them. And I'm going to show you how that works here in a second. And then down below, you see all of your knowledge bases. So we talked about meeting you where you're at with your data. So that's like, I can reach out to whatever SharePoint sites you have, whatever Confluence, whatever website that you want me to crawl. And I keep saying me and Aisera, I mean the agents, right? You want the agents to have access to this information so they can clearly answer requests on them. This is where we'll set that up. So let me jump in now and showcase that. So big pause, big breath. I talk fast. So in terms of the ticket learning, so what's happening under the covers here in our service manager is we are ingesting those tickets, and we typically recommend, 6 to 12 months of ticketing data. The more the better, because we can then have that data set, right? We're going to tell you based on the tickets that we ingest, what we understand, and based on the ones that we understood, those top understood ticket drivers, those tickets that are coming in, we can use this in our implementation plan to tell you, okay, these top 10 tickets that are coming in the door, we can address those. We have those out of the box, and we can auto resolve those for you. So this helps drive that ROI for you. And so again, you're using Aisera, leveraging the AI to tell you, again, where can I, what can I do better? What can I accomplish? What can I auto resolve very quickly? So this is, again, that ticket learning is helping with that process. And then beyond the tickets, we will leverage these data sources And so, the first step when you're implementing, you set up your agent and you connect it to tickets and data sources. Well, your data sources can come from all of the integrations that we have set up here today. It can reach out to Active Directory to get access control lists. It can reach out to file data. Again, it can crawl websites. We have all of those set up so we can meet you where you're at with your data, ingest that data, and then your agents will continuously learn on that data source. So you set up timeframes to have those updated so that, again, and via the requests that are coming in, those agents are being trained automatically. So that is really what I wanted to showcase for our number 2. Were there any questions that came in around unifying data and knowledge, Joanna and Jonathan, before I go on to number 3?
Yes, we do have a couple more questions. So beyond text-based interactions, does your AI agent also have voice capabilities to assist users?
Yes, absolutely. We have IVR and we have tons of organizations like Aramark is a great example. They're global. They have agents set up, or they have cafeterias, or they have teams set up all over the country. And so one of the things they love is our language translation, and that you can have those conversations in multiple languages globally because their employees are coming at them from anywhere in the world. And so, yes, we have voice capability and language translation as well.
Awesome. Yeah, feel free to ask any follow-up questions on the voice interactions, but also we have a different question, which is, do you encounter many customers that have not been disciplined about their ticketing process, like documenting the resolutions?
Yes, that can happen. We have ways to kind of, because again, when you're setting up the ticket learning, we can get around it, right? We can leverage, we can filter out the bad stuff, right? And only focus in that ticket learning process on the good stuff. So when you do your configuration for your ticket learning, where I am today, you can add in conditions or filters like, okay, I want to follow these top 5 agents because they always have good resolution notes, and I want to learn off of those, right? So again, there's ways to configure the ticket learning to make sure that it's bringing in data that's going to be helpful. Great question.
Thank you, Kay.
And let's see, what else? I just had something. Oh, I was going to show you, I was over here, the channels, because we kind of brought up the concept of meeting you where you are. And I talked about data sources, but each of our agents can have multiple ways to communicate with your customers, right? So it can be Teams, it can be Slack. We have a Copilot experience, and this is Aisera branded, but you can call this anything you want. And Copilot is a very overused term. And you can also set up these co-pilots or this experience with predetermined use cases, things that are commonly needed across your organization if you're an employee, like updating my address in Workday, right? And it'll reach out and take those steps for you. And so the conversations again can be can be preloaded in that case. So here it's pulled up my address and allows me to move forward with an actual change to an address in Workday. Now, I don't know if you've ever used, we love Workday. They're a big partner and customer of ours, but the system can be a little bit overwhelming. So allowing your organization and your employees to very quickly, update, walk through a workflow where they can update the address. Like in this case, there was an extra business rule that said if I was moving out of the country, a relocation request has to be submitted. So that process was just kicked off to someone at HR. If I had answered that no, then I could have gone in and updated my address. So there's examples of conversations that can happen, and here's one of the channels. Any other questions, Joanna, before I go back to, because I'll just drive into use cases here and be here forever.
Not yet. So, but I'll definitely interrupt you if we get some.
Okay. So speaking of channels, kind of where else we can meet our customers, one of my favorites, very quick deployment is to show you, your web chats. And I showed you that in the workflow builder, but this is also a place where you can, test out, what your users would see. But but it's so fast and easy to make changes to these. There's no coding here required. If I want to change out the styling, for example, I want a different logo, I want a different, all the settings and all the formatting for those web chats are right here at your fingertips. So it's easy to very quickly deploy and make changes to these, and you can do it here right within Aisera's Service Manager. So back to that kind of wizard-based approach to building and setting up these conversations. All right, so let's get back to our plan, and then as other questions come up, please ask away. The third piece I wanted to showcase, and again, I came from a cyber background, so this is near and dear to my heart, enterprise-grade trust and transparency. And there's a lot of pushback, from organizations. Oh, we can't use ChatGPT, they're all the things because of some of these LLMs are being trained on internal corporate policies, and that's not a good look for anybody. Then I want to talk about how we handle that and how from the beginning, and again, Aisera has been here since 2017, building automation for customers. And with large enterprise customers like Cisco and Workday, this was non-negotiable. We had to build this in from the beginning. And so, when you think about AI becoming a core enabler across IT, HR, customer support, and again, some of your customer experience use cases, there's a concern about trust, data privacy, and regulatory compliance. So we recognize these gaps, and this is why we developed Aisera's TRAPS framework. So, stepping through each of these, what does it mean to be trusted? Well, Aisera's AI models are grounded to your data only. Your information, your data you put in, it's never ever used to train other models or exposed to third-party vendors. This is key and crucial to organizations. With our approach of leveraging large language models and then domain-specific models, we're enforcing and making sure that your agents have less hallucinations. They're not going to provide information back to your customers or your employees that isn't accurate, that isn't, answers based on your data. So, every response comes in, is traced back to the authoritative use sources, and we always provide citations to that user. Where did you get this information? Why is this agent presenting this information? Here's your citation. And so that's to make sure that your employees and your customers know that we are a trusted source. And I'll show you an example of those citations when we go through a couple more use cases. And what does it mean to be responsible? Well, we're built with responsibility, again, at the core, adhering to the latest ethical and legal standards based on GDPR, because we're a global organization, SOC 2, HIPAA, and CCPA. And we ensure that this is a glass box transparency. So there's a human in the loop process along the way to reduce bias and keep the system decisions aligned within your organization's protocols. And in terms of Audible, every action, every decision, every configuration within the platform is tracked. So we have a complete audit trail that you have access to in order to monitor, review, and explain why is the AI answering or why did it provide this information, which is crucial for governance and risk mitigation. So comprehensive audit trails and transparency across the board. When it comes to privacy, data residency, encryption, and anonymization of personally identifiable information, PII, as we all know, is built in. And so we have tools on ingest where you can scrub that data to anonymize it and mask that sensitive information. And again, make sure that the agents don't have access to information they should not. As well as, there's access control lists that the agent can learn from, and that's part of the demo I'm going to show, where you can determine, based on the data sources that you ingest, who within your organizations has access to which data source, and the agent knows that, and the agent will present only that information. Security, again, my favorite word, enterprise-grade security and compliance, encryption everywhere, TLS 1.2, SSL AES 256 for encryption data at rest, Multi-tenancy and isolation, of course, we're very strict with our customer data isolation. But then, this isn't mentioned in this talk track, but I get this a lot from a lot of larger enterprises that are looking at us. If you want a fully, air gap deployment, we can do that. We have a secure Kubernetes infrastructure boundary. So when you deploy, if you want to deploy on-prem, we have that option. Not a lot of organizations can say that or offer that to their customers. But again, this is why we have federal organizations working with us to deploy this conversational agentic AI, because we have those options available to them.
Actually, Kay, if you could just speak to one question we just got in, is Aisera FedRAMP compliant?
We're FedRAMP, we're in process, right? Again, because we can do those air-gapped deployments and because we can deploy behind the network or, leveraging on-prem, that's, what our customers are choosing if they need that type of FedRAMP compliance. A great question. All right, and you see all of our industry certifications, and we can follow up with additional information, again, from a FedRAMP and compliance perspective, but also, again, we have our security team that can also meet with anyone individually if they want to go down the path of learning more about our compliance controls. We also have a website where you can go to get that information. All right, so before we do our quick review, I did want to show a couple use cases around enterprise trust and transparency. And so to demonstrate these use cases, I'm going to go to Microsoft Teams. So I didn't show that channel, but that's another channel we have access to. And you can deploy these agents. So I'm using our Universal Copilot today, just within your Teams environment. Which makes this great is that then your users can leverage Teams on their phones, however they're doing it today, and then ask questions within those Teams channel and within that Teams channel to get the information they need wherever they are, whatever they're doing. And in this case, I want to show off, again, some of the blockers, right? So, and blockers meaning how our agent has been trained. So if I am a user that's asking for an overview of our in-office network configuration within my organization here today, the Aisera agent knows and will go back against that request. And based on the access control policies that have been set up behind the scenes, I don't have permissions to view that information, right? So stopping me before I can even move forward with this request, right? And then if I ask, hey, my manager is Rod Welsh, and Rod said, can you get my employee verification letter? I need it because I'm trying to do a home loan, or something, a mortgage, right? And so Rod's like, hey, can you go get me my employee verification letter? So I'm thinking, well, I don't want to have to call HR. I don't want to deal with, filing a ticket. Let me just go ask my Aisera agent. Well, unfortunately, as an employee, you cannot get someone else's employee verification letter. That is information that's stored in Workday or wherever your HR knowledge source is, and this Aisera agent will not provide that information back to that user. So again, a non-starter. All along the way, I didn't mention this because we only know a few use cases here, but Aisera is going to ask for feedback, and that feedback, in whether or not the agent's been helpful, is allowing the agents to be trained further, and also provides those valuable analytics back that you're seeing the employee satisfaction score and your total resolved requests. So our whole theme of this presentation has been around quickly seeing the ROI for your agents. And so by having this data and these metrics, you can see how those agents are performing within your organization. Okay, a couple more use cases. I wanted to see if I could get access to CyberArk. I use this at my former company, and I want to make sure that I have access to it here. Well, I'm actually on the sales team at Aisera, so they're going to say, you know what, you don't need access to CyberArk. Sorry, but this is reserved for senior IT staff only. So another example of Aisera preventing me from moving forward with a specific use case. Now, if I said, I need access to Salesforce. Now that's a sales tool, so Aisera should be able to provide that access to that for me. And so it should be able to read that access control list and allow me to move forward with that installation. So okay, I want to provision this application. Well, that's going to require approval from my manager. All right, I want to continue. And so this is going to be sent over to Rod. If I pop over to Rod's email, we'll see that approval request already came in the door seconds ago. Aisera is very efficient. And it said, please approve this, provision this application Salesforce to my user. So I can come back over here. Sorry, go back to Teams. Oh, wait, I didn't approve it. Bounce it around, sorry. I will approve this request. Sarah has a template for you can for all of these approvals, by the way. And then I already got a notification here. Good news, your request to Salesforce has been approved. So we've integrated with Okta here to set up that approval. And that's going to show me Rod's Okta. So I'm going to go and look at my Okta, close Rod, go back to Teams. There we go. Sorry, all my passwords. While I get my password set up, maybe we see if there's any questions. I went off my script, so I didn't have Okta ready. Sorry, guys.
All right. We can start Q&A if you guys want to drop some questions in here while we get our password all done.
All right, so, but you can see, we'll see, my request was approved and Salesforce has been installed. And behind the scenes, there's also been a ticket created in ServiceNow as well. So showing you that integration, that automatic ticket that was created in ServiceNow once I've logged in, okay, to that ITSM tool. So full integration to both Okta and ServiceNow to complete that request, and that provisioning of Salesforce happened within seconds. Again, the whole use case here to demonstrate in a review was the security, right? So locking this down so that I couldn't get access to CyberArk, but I was able to have access to Salesforce. All right, back to the questions.
All right. Looks like we do have something here. It says, with the 6 to 8 week timeline mentioned earlier, what is the level of customer time required? It seems setting it all up. It seems setting up all internal security policies and access controls can take a lot of time to determine through internal governance incorporating into Aisera. It's a loaded question. So let's start with the first part of it. What is the level of customer time required?
Again, it depends on the use cases. If you're just using out-of-the-box use cases, we're driving the ship there in terms of getting these set up. If there's customization and you want to go beyond the bounds of what our out-of-the-box use cases provide, like Adobe provisioning, things like that, then there'll be what we need that information from you to make sure we can make that happen. So yeah, I think from a deployment perspective, probably better answered by one of our implementation engineers in terms of how much time they see the users being involved. But I think I saw like an hour or two a week. I think I'm remembering that from a project plan that I've seen. But again, I think it depends, of course, on the level of engagement that you want to be involved.
Right. Tom, all questions are good questions, so do not apologize.
But a lot of our deployments usually have, some really good professional service hours that are really incorporated into teaching you how to fish. So even after Aisera is done with our deployments, right, you guys are well incorporated within the platform to then expand all of your workflows and create more hyperflows. So I guess to this is I know ITSM and AI ops and service desk management, like all this is our bread and butter. So adoption is fairly simple.
Looks like we have another question. And if an employee's issue requires human intervention and cannot be resolved autonomously by the AI, does Aisera's solution have a mechanism to seamlessly escalate or hand off interaction to a live human agent?
Absolutely. So we have an escalation path that you can embed. That's one of our out-of-the-box workflows. Let's see if I go to one of my conversations. I don't know. Yeah. At any point, actually, I can go to the one that I already started. If I say no, you were not helpful, that can kick off the support agent transition. In this case, the way we have our demo environment set up is it's just going to create that ticket in ServiceNow. And then that entire conversation that just happened from that request is going to be put into that ServiceNow request. And so now your ServiceNow agents have that information and they know where to start, right? But you also have a live agent option. So instead of this button saying create ticket, it would say connect to a live agent. But great question. Sorry, I should have just answered. Sometimes I like to say, here's our live agent we can set up to configure a live agent for each Aisera agent that you deploy.
Great. Okay, another question came in. Can you provide a specific use case or scenario where an employee uses your AI solution to access and find a knowledge article, ultimately leading to the resolution of an issue they're facing?
Absolutely. I mean, we get HR requests all the time around benefits, right? Like I need information on our maternity leave benefits, or I need information on our 401k plan, right? And so, those are types of use cases that the Aisera agents answer and can respond to and can alleviate the pain of all those tickets being sent to HR. Like I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, or I guess it was months now, and the HR team said, you will not believe how flooded we get, the month before benefits, right? Or benefits deployment or onboarding at the end of the year. And so if you can alleviate a large percentage of those by providing that information in a quick summary, that's very helpful to your teams. So here I'll show an example here. Again, you can follow up on if you're looking for something specific, but here if I say I need information on benefits. So we have a fictitious organization, Acme, that's set up to provide this HR information back in my Universal Copilot. But one of the things that Aisera is going to do is disambiguation. So when you ask a request, it's going to give you that snapshot here. Here's the overview of the benefits offered. So very quickly you can see what the different options are in the benefit guide, right? What about maternity benefits? If I wanted to ask something specific, then it could provide that specific information back. Give it a second to apply. So here's an overview of my maternity leave benefits. You'll see very quickly, and it's recognized the information as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What other questions can we address? We're coming up to time here.
Yeah, I love the engagement. It's been really nice to have questions come in and make this conversational. That's our goal with these. We do have another question that came in. Can Aisera implement custom algorithms, for example, calculating class scheduling based on room availability and student enrollment?
Absolutely. So that's where the platform comes into the platform play comes into play. When you're building out your workflows, you have access to incorporate any business rules and logic that you want within these workflows. And you can either build it out in a traditional approach, which is that more of an orchestration, again, from a cyber background, SOAR tools, right? Where it's drag and drop and you have clearly defined paths that you want the user to go down. Or you can leverage our Hyperflows to accomplish those. And if those algorithms are available, like if it's a document with all the business rules set in it, you just point that agent to that document, it reads through those business rules, and then it will ask the user, like we were doing one for an organization that was interested in pension plan information. And so we prompted the agent saying, okay, if anyone asks about pension plans, please ask for their hire date and their years of service, or hire date and their date of birth, right? Because that 2 data points is what it needed to do the calculation. And then it runs through the logic in the document and it provides the answer back to the user. So 100%, those are perfect use cases for Aisera.
Wonderful. More questions coming in. Let's maximize our time together. Considering your successful client deployments, could you shed some light on the efficiency gains observed? What percentage of tickets are autonomously handled by your AI agent, and what percentage are seamlessly escalated for human agent resolution?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm looking for my slide.
Yeah, you had a really good example of the AI understanding, right? Frustration as well. Is that right?
Right.
It's a really cool use case. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was, in order to show again that ROI, right? I think that's what the heart of this question, right? These are some of the numbers that we're seeing and the resolution rates that our customers are seeing, which is resulting in millions of savings. One of my favorite use cases around Cisco was they had a challenge in one of their, I think it was password reset. It was something, there was some type of ITSM use case where there was only a certain set of users that had access to a list of codes that could then get that request automated. And so we just gave the agent access to the codes, and then all of those tickets were resolved automatically, right? And so it was like months of work, or kind of dollar savings, right? And a pretty simple workflow that we built in by just pointing the agent to those access codes that were continuously being updated, but that they just had this backlog of tickets that would take them that much longer because there was a bottleneck. So again, that automation is all about reducing those bottlenecks, and then you'll see the millions of savings that can happen when you automate these processes within your organization.
All right, last chance here. Any other questions? Oh, we do have one. I do see
Q&A.
Q&A feature. All right. Is it possible to build custom integrations for systems where you don't have pre-existing integrations?
Oh, yes, that's a great one. Absolutely. So, using our integrations, I'm such a shower. They say answer the question without showing. Using our integrations, our APIs, anything that has an API we can connect to. So if we don't have, I'm going over there. Yeah. If we don't have the integration today, which is, we have hundreds of these, then you can use our generic integration, and then just connect to the API via the endpoint, and then it'll step you through that process.
All right. Well, normally, in the circumstance of like evaluating and how Aisera works, usually we start with the tailored demo, a little bit more similar to your use cases and customers to your specific size and suit. We'll usually perform a ticket learning exercise that Kay showed you earlier. We can ingest a portion of tickets if applicable, right, and then show you the intent that actually delivers from those. So it shows the if you're on the most relevant use cases in demand, whether it's password reset, provisioning, et cetera, then per an evaluation process, we can build a purpose-built BVA and ROI. And we've done this a couple hundred times at this point, so that'll assist in your internal evaluations. We're always there to support technically. But if you guys have any other questions, my name is Jonathan Gill. Right, I'm going to put my email address directly in the chat here. If you guys want to find additional time, feel free to add it to my calendar, use my book it link, or just email me directly. And then we can most certainly add additional resources to that.
Thank you all so much for the time and for the wonderful questions and engagement. And we look forward to you guys reaching out to Jonathan and diving deeper into some of your use cases and see how we can apply this agentic AI to your organization to transform your work today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.